Welcome everyone to Healing from Within. I'm your host, Tony Valen. You can contact me, Tony@TonyValen.com, or visit our website, healingfromwithin.net. Follow the show on Twitter at TV as in Victor, HFW. The show's also available on iTunes and YouTube. Just search Tony Valen or look for the Tony Valen channel on YouTube. Joining us on today's live show is Jeremy McDonald, spiritual teacher, psychic medium, and fellow Blog Talk Radio show host. You can learn more about Jeremy by going to jeremymcdonald.net, like Jeremy on Facebook.com/Jeremy McDonald LLG, and follow him on Twitter at Lamplight Group. Jeremy, welcome to the show.
Hi, Tony. Thanks for having me on the show. It's very much a pleasure.
Yeah, I love it.
Today?
I'm doing good. I'm getting better at live shows, so hopefully I won't do too bad. So
I'm sure you'll do wonderful.
Oh, thank you. Let's get started. I always want to ask the first question, as I normally do. What are your gifts, and how did your journey begin?
Oh, well, my gifts, I always have a little bit of hard trouble putting those into words, but I mean, if it would just put it out there, I'm an empath. And of course, I talk to spirit, and I talk to, especially to my mother, who's in spirit. I've channeled ascended masters and stuff like that. But I feel it's a little bit different because I actually work with people. Of course, I give readings and do spiritual counseling, but I can actually feel their pain within them, and I can help them walk down into that pain and relieve that through meditation and breathing and energy and stuff like that. So it's slightly different than most that I've seen, but I do that in sessions with people and help them remove blocks that are blocking their lives, and as far as abundance and joy and that kind of stuff. So I guess my understanding of my mother was a healer, so she taught me a lot about energy healing, and so I had the understanding of chi and how it works in the body, and I kind of adapted my intuitive abilities along with my healing ability and what she taught me, and went from there. So that's my journey has been, of course, ups and downs. And the funny part about my journey is that I always wanted to get high up in corporate America. I wanted to be an executive and do all those things, and I wanted to take care of my mother. That was my sole purpose in life, and have a family and settle down and all that kind of stuff. And so about 1996, my mother joined a psychic development group for women, and I remember I thought she was funny, and I thought she was a little bit crazy. I was part of I was raised in kind of a fear-based dogmatic church, and my mother left when I was about 14 or 15. And so she was already starting to question things and get out of that church. And when she left and went to this development group, I just thought, Mom, you're crazy. Well, anyways, I had an experience where somebody had given me a reading, and they had actually said to me, you've had experiences all your life. And when I started to think about that, and they started kind of, spelling them out for me, is that I had different experiences all of my life, and in my dreams and out-of-body experiences and stuff like that. And I hadn't really paid attention to it because I just thought that was my imagination or whatever.
Yeah.
And so enters in my new way of thinking spirituality path, and that was roughly about 1997, 1996. So I'd have been about, I guess, 23 years old, 24 years old, something like that. So, and that began the journey, and I mean, it just keeps on going, and I'm still on that journey and on that path. And so I grow and I learn, and what I learn I teach to other people, and I share, because I feel that that's my mission in life, or my spiritual mission in life, is to share what I've gained, and the wisdom that I've gotten in life. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So just out of curiosity, what you said you were in corporate world and you were trying to work your way up. What business were you in, or are you still in it?
I still actually have a day job, as far as, but I look at my day job as basically the means to do what I want Now, my actual, where I was before is I wanted to get promoted, I wanted to have the titles, I wanted to have the money, and it's so funny, Tony, when I look back at the things that I was looking for, I mean, of course I wanted the title, but then I would get upset if I had an office and or if I had the title and somebody with an equivalent title of me had an office and I had a cubicle. These are the things that I was worried about. Nonsense.
Yeah, so, I get it.
And what is that all about? Status. Now it's just I go and I do my job and I leave, and my actual work starts when I leave work, and I laugh and I tell my boss, I said, work is a vacation for me. I come in and and I do this and then I leave, but and I've even been asked if I would take on management roles, and I'm like, no, not anymore. I've been there, done that, got the T-shirt. I've got plenty of work outside of work.
Yeah, I totally understand that, and I can identify with that too, because I also do something else. We all have to pay the bills, and still for me, I'm just like you. I view my day job, so to speak, as a way to pay the bills. But I really enjoy doing both, actually, at the same time. And I have no desire to be in management or anything. So I wanted to talk about you're also a soul healer, motivational speaker. Tell us about that.
Well, it's funny because I started off speaking my first speech I ever gave was when I was 17, and I was terrified, absolutely terrified. As and believe it or not, public speaking is one of the highest fears on a list of fears. I think it even trumps death.
Really?
And
for everyone or for you?
Well, I mean, it's actually the statistics say that people would rather die. They're more afraid of public speaking than dying. Wow. I guess because dying is so far away in their mind. And I'm not sure what all the reasons are, but and I was no different. Public speaking was terrifying for me because I was worried about what people were going to think. I was worried about how they were going to look. Was my hair right? Was did I was wearing the right clothes? Was I going to stutter? Was I going to do all this? All that kind of stuff. And so, and of course, when you public speak, they critique. They have all these things that they want to say. So I was always worried about all that kind of stuff. And so when I was 17 and I had to give a 5-minute speech, I was so nervous that I peed my pants. And luckily, I was able to walk away from the pulpit or the podium, and it was a dark room, and I was wearing a black suit, so they really didn't notice. God. So I went to clean myself. And so, but the next time I spoke in front of people, I was given the opportunity. I was in a quality assurance group in a bank, and so I was asked to go become certified as a trainer for a class called Foundational Customer Service Development. And I was pretty nervous, but what ended up happening is I passed the certification course, and then I went in and I started teaching this course throughout a period of like 6 months over and over and over again. And what I found is the joy I got for watching people get inspired based on the things that I was saying. And something kind of took me over when I would speak. So that shy kid, that person that was afraid, something happened while I was speaking, and the words would come out of my mouth that I don't even know where they came from sometimes, Tony, and they would just, and I built upon that. And so if I allow myself just to relax and speak and get up there in front of people, or get on a radio show and stuff like that, if I allow myself to just be natural, then, and stop worrying about whether I'm doing ahs or is or or all that kind of stuff, or stuttering and all that kind of stuff, then what ends up happening is that people forget about all that stuff. The people that were supposed to hear what I'm supposed to say, that are supposed to be inspired by what I'm supposed to say, they get what they need. And so I just got so much joy out of that, and I did that for many, many years. And so then I went on from there and left being a trainer and went into management, and I found I didn't find the passion that I was looking for. So then I decided roughly about 2006 that I was going to go full tilt into motivational speaking, spiritual speaking, and speaking at churches. And even from there, then that was a transition from corporate America into the spiritual world.
Yeah.
And so then I went into a new level of nervousness. And so, but even then, what ends up happening is I just kept on, the joy was there. So the more I got into it, the better I got, and that kind of stuff. So in my path as far as speaking really just grew. Now, as far as Soul Healer goes, what I've realized is that as I get people to realize their fullest potential, as I get them to, go into their truest self, into their authentic self, they come in alignment with their soul. And so when they come in alignment with their soul, then there's a congruency that happens. They go into balance with each other, and so then therefore they're not in opposites of you. They're not pushing against each other as opposed to or fighting with each other. So there's a lot of healing, not only mentally that happens and spiritually that happens, but the physical body starts to heal as well. Because what happens is when you're not being authentic with yourself, the chi within the body, because the body is the projector of our world, it gets clogged up. Because we're not communicating correctly, we're not telling ourselves the truth, we're not telling other people the truth. So when I can get them to see that, whether it's through a speech or it's one-on-one session with me or whatnot, then their lives start to change. And so that's why I got into this, and I realized that I didn't really have to do a whole lot. I just had to get up there and talk about my story and give them tips and give them things that they can do on a daily basis that are practical, that most people can do while they're going to work or coming off of work, where they're working with their kids and that kind of stuff, and their families, and then you really watch these people change their lives, and that's very rewarding to see that as people are changing their lives and they're gaining a sense of happiness within their life. That's a cool thing to watch and to know that you are part of that. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe that we have a caller that would like to ask a question. Are you okay with taking a question?
Absolutely.
Great. And we have Julie from Florida. Julie, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for taking my call.
Sure, thank you for calling. So you're talking to Jeremy and Tony. How can we help?
Well, I'm going through huge life changes right now. I've ended a 30-year marriage and, basically starting my life all over again. So I thought I would call to get some insights around that. And, if there are any blockages, or you were talking about soul talk and, what is it that my soul,
Absolutely.
What can I do to help my soul? So.
Okay, Jeremy, you want to take that? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, Julie, thanks for calling in. And then my question to you will be right off the bat. You just ended a 30-year marriage. Obviously, there's some hurt there, or there's some leftover stuff going on. Did you end the marriage, or did your other half, your spouse, end the marriage?
Well, I filed, but it was his behavior that precipitated me taking that step.
Gotcha. So where are you at right now as feeling-wise? How do you feel about the divorce and the separation?
Well, this is the 9th month of it being in the process, so basically I'm just ready for it to be done. I'm ready to move forward. I feel like it's kind of still hanging over my head because it hasn't legally completed. But I know that I've done work with the Ho'oponopono and writing letters, giving thanks for the different things that happened over the marriage and forgiveness. And so, I've been doing some of the work, but obviously for 30 years, But basically, I'm trying to focus on moving forward at this point and trying not to go into fear or overwhelm, or trying to figure out, what to do next. What, like you guys were talking about your day jobs, trying to figure out after being a homemaker, what do I want to do for a day job, or, so there's just so much,
Well, Julie, it's obviously that you did the right thing, so you're on the right track. You're already doing the Ho'oponopono prayer. You're doing forgiveness. You're asking forgiveness in that prayer as well. And that, incidentally, is not just about, what's going on. That's not just about what's going on in the physical. That's about soul-wise as well. So that forgiveness and that letting go is so that both your souls can move on. So you got the great attitude about moving on and stuff like that. Intuitively, what I'm feeling is that this will all be settled by the end of the year, and probably even before that, like the fall sometime. So, the idea is moving on. What I'm getting for you intuitively is to just start doing those processes of moving on. Start living as if you were already done with it. As far as doing the things that are going to be working for yourself. And it's Julia, am I correct?
Yeah, Julia. Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. So then, as far as work goes, I would go into, obviously you have to make a living and you have to pay your bills and all that kind of stuff. So what would you like to do that is within your experience? I mean, being a homemaker has a heck of a lot of experience, just by the way. So, especially for 30 years. So what would you like to do as far as going forward? Like, what's the first thing that jumps into your mind?
Mm-hmm. Well, obviously I've been a caregiver. I've, cared for and organized my family and taken care of finances and that type of thing. But I don't know. I think I want to kind of pull back a little bit from taking care of others quite so much and try to do like more fun things that still help, but I'm not like, I don't have that emotional, but, I just don't want the heavy emotions. I kind of want to lighten up in my life. So it's like, I don't mean for that to sound selfish, it's not that I don't care, it's just that I don't want to get kind of sucked in because I want to lighten up.
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right, and honestly, I went through not a 30-year divorce after 30 years, but I went through a separation after 7 years, and I know that is not in comparison to the 30 years that it hurt, and so regardless of whatever happens and how long it's been, a separation does hurt, and so. What I actually started to do is I did the same thing because I was always taking care of this person. I was the caretaker, and I was, very loving and all that kind of stuff. So it's not selfish. What I realized is that I had to think about myself first in order to heal. Now, what spirituality says is that what we're taught is that we have to be of service to others. And that's absolutely correct. We do want to be of service to others. However, what I've learned is that when we work on ourselves and we love ourselves and we give ourselves love, then our cup runneth over with love and it spills out to other people. So you're on the right track as far as you need to start focusing on yourself. You need to start focusing on the things that make you happy, the things that, fun things, you've spent 30 years doing for others. Do you have children?
Yeah,
from your marriage?
She's an adult now, so she's already out of the house and into her own life.
So yeah. So I would actually, I don't want to go in and I don't want to tell you what to do as far as work goes and all that kind of stuff. What I will tell you is that I feel like you've already have the answers here. And what I will tell you this is that each step you're going to take, it's going to become clearer and clearer and clearer. You're going to get through the divorce part of it, and then that's going to be kind of a weight off your shoulders. But then you're going to have a little bit of, intuitively, I'm feeling like you're going to have a little bit of fluctuation time where it's going to be like, well, that's done, so now what do I do? Because, your life has been spent working on this for so long, or your mind has been focused on that for such a time. Now you're going to go into, well, that's done, now what do I do for myself? And I would just start doing whatever it is you want to do. Like, even if it's just to go out to the beach or the park or whatnot, just do it. And drive up. Because now you don't have any responsibility to anybody else.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say also, And Julia, the best thing to do is, first of all, just move forward. Do not stay in the energy of being on hold. I feel that you have been in that hold pattern for quite a while, but your guides, your higher self is speaking to you, telling you to move forward. As far as what you want to do as a job, we're not going to tell you what to do as a job, but I can intuitively tell you that I see a lot of creativity, energy around you. You have a lot of experience. Don't sell yourself short just because you were a homemaker. That is a lot a lot of hats that you wore. So the world is open to you to do whatever you want to do. Does that make sense?
It sounds wonderful. Now I just have to figure out what that is.
Well, just go with your first impulse and go from there. You can't go wrong. I do see you doing very well in whatever you do. You just have to get excited about your life again and stop being on hold. Get away from that energy. Change your vibration. It's so important. Okay?
Absolutely.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Thank
One
you
step
so
at a time.
much, both of you. Yes,
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right, have a great rest of the weekend.
You
Bye-bye.
too. Bye-bye. So let me ask you, when you're publicly speaking and you get the information, do you feel like this information is coming from channeling?
When I'm public speaking, absolutely yes. Now, what happens, even when I'm doing sessions with people, because I ask a lot of questions, yes as well, because I actually hear a voice in my head say, ask this question, ask this question. And then they'll start, and like a picture starts forming in my head. I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, it does.
Where they're taking me with it, and it partially becomes because about 2009, I'd been giving readings, and I'd used tarot for a lot of years, and I have nothing against people using cards, but my direction went a little bit differently because I said to Spirit, I want to teach people how to make decisions without me. And because I was having, and I know, Tony, you understand this, that I was having people come to me every week paying me $100 a time to sit with me. And I thought to myself, well, then I'm just paying them to be codependent with me, or they're paying me to be codependent with me.
Yeah.
And I think you and I talked about this recently, actually.
Yeah.
And so I thought to myself, and so then what Spirit started showing me is a different way of doing things. And then, of course, I got a friend that came into my life who just happened to be a psychiatric social worker on top of doing this work. And she taught me some ways to dig within people and get them to see it themselves. And then when I got quieter within myself, because she taught me how to do it on myself, then I realized there's an inner voice that says things to you, and if you pay attention to it, it'll tell you what to say, how to say it, how to question. So, I mean, yeah, that's an inner spirit, and sometimes if people have read my book, they know that I channel the Archangel Michael, that kind of stuff, and I've had Jesus sit right in front of me, I've had Buddha sit in front of me, that kind of stuff. So, that would definitely be a channeling, spirit. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell our listeners what your vision is. Sorry, that's what I was getting. That was a question.
Okay. Well, I mean, there's a vision I have as far as oneness and people coming together. And so the Lamplight Group is a ministry of some sorts. It was something that my mother and my friend Daryl and I had a dream of many years ago, back in like 2002 or 2003. Mm-hmm. But it's grown since then. And so my mother and I had come up with, basically, we got it from dreams. I was talking about it one day, and then she had a dream, and I had a dream. And so basically the dream was this: what if we all came together, and even with our differences, we understood each other, and we could look past the words and look past the egos and just love each other for who we are, and know that we're all one on a soulful spiritual level. And so with that being said, I mean, and that gets, because that's my dream, that's my vision, that gets tested within me every day. Mm. And so I look at people, and, they may say things on the surface that makes my ego go, oh. However, if I stop just for a second and I look again, if I take a second look and look at them again, I'll see a soul. I'll see a soul having an experience, and it may be a very painful experience. It may be a very hard experience, but I don't know everything that's happened to them to get them to this point. All I know is I see something that made my ego trigger. And so therefore there's something within them that makes me think, So as far as vision goes, I would like to see everybody start to come together and love each other for who they are.
Absolutely, and I think that's so important for people to understand that sometimes you do come across people that are not the nicest people, or they'll say or do something which is hard for us as humans to just look away. You know what I mean? Attack and get into attack mode, when the real problem is not that they're attacking you. The real problem is that they have something that they've been through. Someone else has already put them through some BS, and they're just trying to understand what happened and trying to justify themselves. And it's the inferior ego taking over, making them feel like they're less than someone else. You know what I mean? And I think it's important that people understand that when you run into someone with issues, it's not about you and the way they're treating you. It's about them, and help them get into a better place or a better mindset. Yeah. So you have. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to talk about a little bit that this came to me when I was a very young age, and I was a political activist.
Oh, okay.
And I would watch all the other activists, and I'm not going to get too far into politics, but it's
okay.
The idea is that I would watch the other activists get so angry at whatever side was that we were trying to be an activist against. And I said to myself, and I said to them, what if we just loved them?
Yeah.
And they of course, that triggered something pretty significant in them. And I said, I'm not saying what they're doing is correct. What I'm saying is that if we loved them and spoke our truth and love to them, it would come out a lot differently, and I can guarantee you we'd see a lot more change if we approached them with something other than anger.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. So you've been an accomplished public speaker for 14 plus years. How did I guess what I'm trying to figure out or understand for myself, how do you do it? How do you get better at it? How have you become comfortable with being a public speaker? Because I'm still struggling once in a while.
Well, it's something that you just have to do it, and I'm going to tell you why. I mean, you can take. I would recommend some people out there to one of the opportunities is to go to a Toastmasters organization. But if Tony, in your instance, you're so very well connected as far as spiritual churches in the area, that it would definitely be a great opportunity for you to speak at their sermons and stuff like that, or teach classes with 3 or 4 people that are small groups and that kind of stuff, and do live shows and that kind of stuff. And so what happens is that you start to realize that they're here to hear what you have to say, and then there's an old saying that 1/3 of the people are going to love you, 1/3 of the people are going to be indifferent to you, and 1/3 of the people are not going to like you. And I realized that years ago, I'm so busy worried about the people that aren't going to like me that the other 2/3 aren't getting the opportunity to hear what I have to say, because my energy is in fear. And so, and then it also, fear of public speaking comes down to this: false evidence appearing real. So you have to spend time in whatever it is you've built in your mind. For those of you out there that are having trouble with this, that is preventing you from speaking. Now, let's even go deeper than public speaking. Some of you out there will sit in a group of people, family, friends, loved ones, people that actually care about you, and you won't say something that you want to say to participate in the conversation because you're afraid that people will think you're stupid, or you don't want to, either that they won't agree with you, they won't, there's 100 things out there that you think. I've said things that people don't agree with me on. I've seen things in meditations that is opposite of what the New Thought community thinks of. I told a group of past life regression therapists, and I happen to be one myself, but I told a group of them that, hey, I don't know. I mean, are these really past lives? And, of course, they all just jumped on top of me, and I just asked a question. And here's the reason why I thought that, because what I was thinking on a quantum level, as far as people go, as far as souls go, in spirit, time and space means nothing. On a third-dimensional world, time means everything. So are we talking about the soul perspective? And if we're talking about the soul perspective, then there is no past lives. Everything happens in this instant, in this moment. And so it was just a mind twist for me because I asked those kind of questions. But that's a little bit off topic from what I was saying. But basically what I was getting at is that I just started saying how I felt in groups of people and not being afraid.
Yeah.
And so what it does is it gets easier and easier and easier, and your confidence comes because then you realize that nobody's there to attack you. And guess what? They're not willing to get up there.
Yeah.
So if you feel compelled that you want to be up and get up there and speak, I can guarantee you it'll get better. And I'll just end with this part of this, with this story. I have a friend. I met him when he was 22. He was completely terrified to speak in front of people. As a matter of fact, he spoke at my mother's memorial, and he was shaking. His legs, his arms, everything was shaking. He was stuttering. He was very scared to be up there, but he had told himself, if I feel compelled to say something with my passion, I'm going to get up there and do it. So then he recently became the president of Phi Theta Kappa for his college, and he spoke in front of hundreds of people. He said the nervousness is still a little bit there, because once I get up there and start speaking, he goes, I just remembered how you would get up there and start motivating people and start talking, and something would just take over. And then I got up there, because what happens? Your soul takes over if you just allow yourself to be authentic. So
that is very true. And we're going to bring on Erica from Ohio. Erica, welcome to the show. Hello, with Jeremy and Tony. How can we help you?
Thank you both. If you care to provide a reading, I am a first-time caller, so I'm not really sure how things really go with the show, but anything that you're open to discuss with me or tell me will help.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, we can help you intuitively, and we can also, if you have a question about what Jeremy has been talking about, we'd be happy to help you with that as well.
I am so intrigued with him. He has me thinking of so many different things on different levels of, how when you think inside and you hear that voice and get past all that crazy mind chatter. I've kind of been doing that. I've thought about actually going through a situation right now. I'm dealing with a workers' comp claim. I've been off for about 5 years, and I've had 2 re-injuries, and that has kind of lengthened the time frame of the claim. It's made it a little bit more complex, but I felt like Spirit woke me up at 5 o'clock in the morning to tell me to write them a letter of gratitude, just appreciate what they have done for me. But I felt like I needed to have those the right words, so I felt like I needed to get as quiet as possible for those right words or questions to come to me that I can elaborate, because I think that makes the best of a situation. I've noticed that some people won't do the work for that, to go that deep. So I see where he's coming from that. So I'm kind of curious if he offers, like, classes or teaching sessions, and, just very intriguing conversation here.
I do, actually, okay. And I'm going to be in New Jersey in August. But what is your name, Erica, you said?
Erica, yeah.
Erica, could you just, pretend with me? Because I feel like we need to do this really quick. Can you just pretend with me just for a second and regress back to being about 5 with me for a minute? And what I want you to pretend like is I'm sitting across from you on the couch. Can you do that with me just for a second?
Yeah.
Okay, so what I want you to do is breathe. I want you to breathe deep breaths in and out. And you said you had a workman's comp claim. Are you still in pain?
Yes, in my head. My head, my neck, balance issues. There's a lot of stuff.
Okay, wonderful. So I'm sitting across from you. What I'm going to do is I want you to pretend, and this is actually what I'm doing in my own mind. I'm opening my heart up as wide as possible, And I want you to open your heart up as wide as possible. Just pretend as you're breathing, you're just pretending like it's opening up and a gigantic light is coming out of it. And those two lights are coming together. So let me know if you feel anything.
Just a little, not necessarily a tingle, a little warmth opening. I don't know. It's kind of different to explain. It's different.
It's understandable. And so what I want you to do is this heart energy.
Like a light heaviness.
Good. That's a good thing, because what's happening is the light is opening up, and there is going to be a little bit of heaviness, because the heaviness from the energy or the mind or the pain is going to be a little bit resistant to it because it's new. And so what I want you to do is just keep on breathing. And what I want you to do is in your mind, we're going to put the workman's comp people, we're going to put everybody that's involved, everybody that you were looking at forgiving, everybody, we're going to put them between our two heart energies. And so what we're doing is we're saying to them, by doing this, we're saying, listen, I don't know where you come from or what you're thinking or what policies you have to follow. I know that you're still a soul. And I know, and you're also saying to to God, you're saying to Spirit, you're saying, I know you're going to take care of me, because this is what God would do, right?
Yes.
So
you're so on point. Yes. Like, don't abandon. That's been the biggest thing. Don't abandon me. I'm almost there.
Absolutely. Well, and I can tell you that God is plotting to do you good. He's working on so many levels beyond what your imagination can give you.
Wow.
And press back about 2,000 years to a story where a man was on a cross and he said, forgive them for they know not what they do. What he's saying in that is he's saying, you did all this to me. I understand it hurts. Like, it hurts. It's a betrayal and everything because you didn't know. So, and the same thing with the workman's comp claim and everything else that's hurting. I mean, I'm sure there's more than just pain going on. There's emotional pain, there's hurt, there's betrayal, and everything else. And so what happens is
you kind of blame yourself. And I'm learning to work through that forgiveness, to heal myself, to forgive myself that I couldn't be so conscious and aware that I had this brain fog over me, and then here comes this re-injury, and it happens twice, and I had to relive everything all over. So third time has truly been a charm, and I don't want any more of it. I'm ready to move forward.
Absolutely. I understand.
And find out where my place is, like the other lady, find out where my place is, trying to move forward.
So now
and healing in the same aspect.
Let's pull this energy back in just a little bit to you, and I want you to say to yourself, I forgive you. Because you said there's some guilt there. Look at that guilt and say, I forgive you. Because what is forgiveness going to do? What is love going to do? It's going to allow that guilt to melt away. And you say, we don't need this guilt here. And just say, say to that little girl in you, I love you.
Yeah.
And so
I've been doing a little bit of that too,
And then ask your inner world, give me direction. And if the other lady's still listening, ask your inner world, give me direction, or whoever's listening, give me direction. What you're asking is your inner spirit, that inner spark of God, and that inner whatever you pray to, angels, whatever, to guide you each step of the way. And you'll find it. You'll find it. So what I will tell you intuitively, what I'm getting for you, is that things are going to start shifting for you, and because you're already, before you even called in, you were already about forgiveness. You are, and you know what? You're halfway there for most of the people I work with. Most of the people that sit in front of me, they're screaming and yelling, and I have to get them calmed down before we can even get into the work that I'm doing with you in just these last few minutes.
I've been doing the work. I know that they kind of been work. You're kind of giving me confirmation that lets me know a lot of things that coming down in the manifestation is true. It's true, I've been doing a lot of soul healing, a lot of healing over these years. So
wonderful. Erica, thank you so much for calling in. We're going to have to go because we have other callers we have to accept, but we appreciate you and love you so much. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, love and light.
Bye-bye.
So, Jeremy, you also have an online radio show on Blog Talk. It's called Soul Talk. Tell us about your show, your format, and your message.
Well, my show it started because I just wanted to hear people's stories, honestly. And at first, and I have a thing for the arts too, which is that will take me a little bit longer to talk about. But basically, I wanted to hear about people's stories. So my best friend and I started a show called Soul Talk, and now he's gone on. He's done other things, but the gist of it is that we would invite artists and psychics and mediums and healers and teachers and all that other kind of stuff and regular people on to talk about their soul or their journey. And I really wanted to hear at first where people had come from hard times and now are living a happy life. And now, of course, I've delved into paranormal and near-death experiences and everything else, but that's still along the same lines of hearing people's stories. And so I find that people get a lot of healing from it because they're able to see, that people are just people. And what it's done for me is, like, I've interviewed, and I know, Tony, you've interviewed quite a few people.
Yeah.
I've interviewed a lot of famous people, a lot of people that were just local speakers and teachers and that kind of stuff. And what I found is that they're all going on the same journey, the same.
Yeah.
And they all give the same message. I just interviewed Roger Teal, and he's the senior spiritual director of the Mile High Church in Colorado, the religious science church out there. And he, just like you and I, Tony, came from a place where he'd experienced heartbreak, he'd experienced disappointment, he'd even gone into his ego, he was even feeling sorry for himself, he felt like a victim. And here's a guy with a 10,000-person church, so in our mind, our egoic mind, we think, he's probably got it going on.
Yeah.
And that it's taken him 40 years of practice to get there.
Right.
So, and so it doesn't. That's what with Erica and Julia. I'm just when everybody's listening, it takes one step at a time.
Yeah.
One step, and the next step. So.
Absolutely. This is Tony Valen, host of Healing From Within. You can contact me, Tony at TonyValen.com, or visit our website, healingfromwithin.net. Follow the show on Twitter at TVHFW. The show is also available on iTunes and YouTube. Just search Healing From Within with Tony Valen or look for the Tony Valen channel on YouTube. We're talking to our guest, spiritual healer, teacher, psychic medium, and fellow Blog Talk show host, Jeremy McDonald. You can learn more about Jeremy by going to jeremymcdonald.net, like Jeremy on Facebook.com/Jeremy McDonald LLG, and follow him on Twitter at Lamplight Post. Jeremy, I want the listeners to get to know you and not just what you do, but a little more about your life's journey. Can you tell us a little more about your family, your childhood, and your friends?
Well, I mean, I was born in Minneapolis, Minnesota, to a single mom that was 16 years old, and a father was 15. So, I mean, I was raised a little bit by my grandmother, who was my mom's mother, and my mom. So, I mean, I went to 30 different schools growing up, because Mom and I were moving around, and she, of course, put herself through college and all that kind of stuff. So she was my best friend, and so why I talk about her quite a bit, because she was not only my spiritual mentor, and I was her spiritual mentor, but we were really good friends, and, of course, she was my mom as well. She passed away and transitioned in 2012.
Yeah.
I don't see it as a bad thing. I see it as our friendship got that much stronger. She and I talk on a regular basis. As far as my life, when I realized, I used to be the guy that'd sit in a room and feel like nobody was paying attention to me, and no matter what I say, nobody cared for me in that room. Something switched in me. Something changed as I started to practice. And now I go into rooms and I'm with people, and I just am so excited about being there. Even if I'm not saying anything, even if nobody is looking at me in my direction, I just enjoy being around people, and I also enjoy my quiet time. I have some of the best friends in the world. I have a group that I consider my family. I was obviously, like I said, born in Minnesota. We were a conservative, very conservative church. I have no issues with Christianity or any of that kind of stuff, and it has nothing to do with that. that if that's where people go, that's their journey. As far as my family goes, I am close with a few of them, and not with all of them. My true family, to me, my family of choice, lives here in Florida with me, and that would be, I could name them off, but it doesn't really matter. We have Christmas together, we have Thanksgiving together, we laugh together, we're silly together. Sometimes we're adults, and sometimes we act like children, and so it's
right.
So it's a really, I have a really good life. So
well, that's
really
wonderful. Cool. Well, we have Sharon from Ohio next on air to talk with you and me, and Sharon is one of our fans. Sharon, thank you so much for being listening to our show.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, I've listened to a couple of them.
Awesome.
I didn't know you took calls. I didn't know that, but I do know now. Every once in a while, you do. Yeah.
Yeah, we're trying to switch out and do that a lot more because I think it's time for us to move forward.
Okay.
Wonderful. So how can we help you?
Well, either one of you, I don't know. I have been, for the past 9 months, almost a year now, I've been contracting, looking for employment. Do you see me finding permanent employment soon? My contract job ended about 10 days ago.
Okay. Jerry, you want to take that? Jeremy?
Yes, and I'm at a job right now, a fill-in job. Oh, my goodness gracious. Go on. It's not what
you're wanting some more permanency, not so much transient. Going from one place to the next. When I touch your energy, Sharon, I get a feeling of yes, that's definitely going to happen. I feel like it's sooner than not.
When you feel sadness, I've been really sad. I know over this, really sad. But go on.
Well, I'm just getting a little the message of just a little bit patient. I know you said you're in a filler job right now.
Oh, it's the worst. I'm sorry. I pray every day when I go in there. Oh, my gosh. This isn't even a contract.
I understand.
It's not even... Yeah, go on.
Very temporary.
I know.
Temporary. It is temporary. What I'm getting for you is to be I know it's hard, but to rejoice in the fact that you have an income. And then when you walk in to that day, when you go into the job, the filler job, just say, I'm grateful for the income, because it's going to change your energy. What'll happen, and I do see something coming to you very soon, like sometime coming into July, I see, and probably even before that you'll know about it. But I'm definitely feeling like July, you're going to have something new coming in, yes, it will be permanent, or it will have the hopes of being permanent.
I know.
So what I'm getting at is
I know. Gotcha. Contract, it could be also, yes, to perm. Okay.
Yeah, it could be like a contract to perm. What I'm getting is to open up your horizons, though, a little bit, as far as, I know that you're probably very open. What I'm talking about is your energy. Open up your energy to something different. Like, what kind of work do you do?
It's financial, investments, insurance. I do the administrative work, but I have all my licenses. But I have been going to the left. Oh, my gosh. Real estate, healthcare. I really would love to get into a healthcare. I'm trying to do something different. That's what,
Yeah,
I have the skills. I just have to find the right home. Go on. What?
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm feeling like there needs to be a shift in energy as far as like job, like the type of job, and I feel like this new one will be in that realm, or at least it'll lead into something that you'll really enjoy. Like you'll feel the words "appreciated" come into my mind. You'll feel appreciated, and when you go into
I know why they're saying that. I know why they're saying that. But go on. Yes.
Absolutely. So I think you're on the right path. It doesn't feel good right now because you're in something that just drains you, and I can feel your energy drain. And so and I know that that's going to be difficult. What they're saying is that I want you to start going in and, like I said, doing that, but also appreciate yourself, because you're very skilled and you're very intelligent.
I know.
You've helped a lot of people. Don't let this last 9 months drag your self-esteem down.
I know. Keep telling me that, please. I know. You're right.
Yeah.
I know.
Absolutely. And I'll, go ahead.
Go on.
Go ahead, Tony.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say, Sharon, the other thing, and I know this is very difficult to see, but take the negativity that you're surrounded by right now as a gift. It's actually, I see it as a training ground for you, something that's coming your way. And this is going to so much better prepare you to be a stronger person. Especially, I also feel, and you mentioned it already, I just feel like you have a very damaged self-esteem, and it needs to be repaired. And believe it or not, by dealing with negative people and knowing how to take them, and especially how to protect yourself against them, this is going to help you be a stronger person in every way. And all the hurt and everything is going to go away. It's just that you have a few more lessons to learn.
Okay, I do.
Can I throw something
Sorry.
there real quick?
Yes.
I just got this message that you need to put your crown back on. So let me.
I know.
I want you to imagine. I want you to be a little girl for a second. And I regress people back to youth because we learn faster in youth. So
I know.
I want you to just go back to being a little girl. And what would, real quick, if you were a little girl, what would be, when you were a little girl, what dress would you have thought was the prettiest dress in the world? Like
pink.
Just pink.
Pink was my favorite, yep, with ruffles. Yep.
Okay, so I want you to visualize your little girl self with that pink dress on, and a little tiara like you just won a pageant.
I know.
And all these people were looking at you and loving you and appreciating you and so proud of you, and you were proud of you, and you just felt this immense amount of joy. You know that ripple of energy that comes through your body when you're so excited and something great or grand just happened? I want you to feel that within yourself. And as you start applying for jobs, as you go into interviews, as you go into work, I want you to maintain that feeling of over amounts of pride and joy and love, and feeling it as a flow within you and without. And what it's going to do is going to change the energy around you so that people start treating you that way, and so you start getting experiences from that. You get jobs that warrant somebody that believes in themselves and that kind of stuff. So, because you got all the skills, that's not the issue. And right now you've just been, kicked a few times, and so now it's time for you to stand up and take your crown back, your tiara back. So
land back on my feet. I got you.
But you got it.
Perfect. Sharon, thank you so much for calling. We appreciate
both of you.
Absolutely. Love and light your way.
Put me on hold.
Okay. Larry, if you'll take care of that, please. So, Jeremy, I wanted to ask you, you also wrote a book, Peace, Be Still. I looked through your book, and very interesting, and it's really telling your story. So tell us what the most important part of the book was for you.
That book was about my journey of finding peace in my life. And that's really what it's about. So all the stories I've been telling you about how I felt and where I came from and all that kind of stuff is really about that. And the part that you guys didn't hear about is that I had a drug addiction, a sex addiction, all those kind of things. So all those self-destructive habits, I had them. So I'm not just talking when I walk people through it, things. I'm not just talking from some book I read. I'm actually talking about I experienced these things, and all those hardships and pains and things that have hurt you out there, I've gone through them. So the book is, I decided I wanted to write a book about my journey, but give a process to people to teach them how to shift their own lives. So by reading my story, and Tony, you probably know that I give exercises in the back, and I give stories and those kind of things in there. So the biggest thing I got out of the book, and this is the biggest message, is for all those people that are listening: isn't it time to embrace the greatness that is you?
Yeah.
And so, because every one of you is this great, amazing being, but you've been convinced that you're not. Somebody along the lines has convinced you that you're not something. And I don't care what your spiritual belief is. There's not a spiritual belief out there that doesn't say that you're not something tremendous. If you're a Christian, it says that you're the child of the greatest God in the universe. And so that, by definition, makes you a prince or a princess. And so, and then many other, whether you believe in consciousness or whatnot, if you believe like the Buddhists do, that you're a part of a great consciousness, then if you're a part of that great consciousness, stop thinking like you're the raisin in the galaxy. You're this great, vast being. And the only way that changes is by facing all your fears, your insecurities, and everything that makes you feel less than.
Right, exactly. And I'm going to go ahead and bring another caller in. Her name is Diane, and she's from Florida. Diane, are you on the air? Okay, I'll bring Diane on. Sorry. Hold on. Hello, Diane.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Yes?
This is Tony and Jeremy. How can we help you?
Hi, Tony.
Hello.
I think that I think you're a wonderful interviewer. I just wanted to say that.
Well, thank you.
I found you, my computer broke, and so I got numbers off of shows from the library, and that's how I found you.
Bless
shows
your heart.
to listen to. But you've got something to teach people, mister. Nobody at Blog Talk Radio knows how to, like every half hour, what to say and how to do it. Sometimes you'll go through a whole show, and they won't even tell you what the name of their show was.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you got something to teach those Blog Talk Radio show hosts.
Well, thank you.
But
and
anyway,
actually, it's my producer, Larry, that is responsible for that, and I'm so blessed to have him. So thank you, Larry.
Well, great, Larry.
Thank you, Larry.
I was hoping for mediumship. If you could call somebody from the other side and just give me a message. I don't have a question.
What do you think, Jeremy? Are you ready for that?
Absolutely.
Okay. Go ahead.
Just get quiet here. Let me get quiet here for a few seconds.
Okay, cool. So, Diane, go ahead and ask your question, and then we'll let him get into it, and then I'll tap into that as well.
Well, I was just open to whatever they had to say.
Oh, got it.
I don't really have.
Well, what I'm getting is, and I don't know if you can take this. I don't get a lot of names, but I get this. I keep on getting this fluctuation a little bit. It's an elderly woman. Her hair keeps on fluctuating from a dark, and I don't know if it's a dark brown or a black. I think it's more black, and then it goes to gray, and it just keeps, because it kind of confuses me a little bit as far as like grandmother, mother, grandmother, mother, and then her eyes have glasses on them, but then they switch to no glasses. So I'm gonna go with maybe what I'm kind of getting the feeling is that. It's somebody that was with you maybe towards the tail end of their life at a very young age. And they did have a full life from youth to old, and that kind of stuff. And so what they're telling me, they want me to back up real quick, like their life ended probably around when you were 3 or 4, within those first 4 to 5 years of your life. So what they're telling me to tell you is they want you to start thinking more along the lines of what you felt like when you were younger, because they keep on bringing me back to youth with you. It's almost like I feel like you have a sense of happiness, you have a sense of love in yourself, and you have a pretty good life. What they're getting at is there's a youthfulness, or a playfulness, a happiness, a childlikeness that they want you to bring into your life that will start changing it into a new dynamic for you. It'll actually change the energy of where things go for you, and it'll start attracting new people into your life as well. So they just keep on going back to that level. It doesn't mean you obviously stop being an adult. It's about bringing a new energy of how you think and see about things. Does that make sense?
I know exactly what it is. And it's
Okay.
Native American that you're seeing with the darkness and contrast. So that would have to be my grandmother that died when I was young. And see, when I was young, I could see spirits and I talked about them and all of that. But then I had an abusive mother with no one to be supportive of the fact. So I was pretty much had it beat out of me not to tell anybody what I saw or whatever. So my support left when she died. I remember 4 years old. I was already healing people. I was telling people, tell me what's wrong with you, because my Humpty Dumpty put himself back together again, and we could put you back together again. So actually she's telling me get back into how it was before I was suppressed. And at 5 years old is when most kids get suppressed by parents that don't agree with this type of a child.
Wow.
So that was good. That was good to hear from Grandma. And you're good. You're good at mediumship. So, hey, carry on. I don't want to take up more time. But
And Diana, I was going to thank you, and I didn't step in there because I'll be honest with you, I'm so busy babysitting everything that's going on that it's hard for me to connect as a medium. I can do it on your own energy, but when it comes to spirit, it is hard to do when I'm being so technical, especially when I'm so technically challenged. But I want to thank you so much for the call.
Thanks, Diane.
Thank you. Have a great day, both of you.
You too. Bye-bye. And if it's okay with you, Jeremy, we're going to go ahead and take a few other callers because we're running out of time, if that's okay with you.
That's totally fine.
Okay, great. I would like to bring in Kimberly from Georgia. Kimberly, I know that Larry didn't get on the air with you, but I'm going to go ahead and just bring you on. Hi, Kimberly.
Oh, hi. How are you?
Fine, thank you. And how can Jeremy and I help you?
Well, I just want to know from you both.
Okay.
Where do you see my career going? Presently, I'm teaching, and it's not my passion. I would just like to know what I could do next so I won't be bored anymore.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
Wow. Well, I want to ask you a question really quick because I have a thought that just popped into my head. What made you go into teaching in the first place?
Well, I had a chemistry professor that told me, well, if you're looking for a job, why don't you go into teaching? And because I just had a baby, and I always wanted to be a doctor, and I knew it wasn't the time to go to school. In fact, I was accepted to medical school, and I put it on the back burner. So I kind of was like coerced into teaching. It was never a passion.
Not a passion. Well, the reason why I asked is that they took me into passion and creativity. So, go with me on this for a little bit because when I say creativity, some people would think that has nothing to do with being a doctor. But what I'm getting here is that, you should pursue your dreams and your passion, whatever gives you satisfaction in life. And if that means going back to school, then go back to school. But they're also giving me this thing about you have to be stimulated by passion, like all of us, by the way. But mostly you have to be stimulated by creativity, things that make you think on your feet, things that make you you can go well in a crisis mode where there's a lot of things happening, a lot of energies happening around you, and you can be a level-headed one. So that's the reason. So for your creative self isn't about painting. You could be a painter, but that's not really what it's about. Or you could be a writer, but that's not really what it's about. It's about the fact that you can create peace and you can create balance and level-headedness within the worst of situations. So when I'm going in, when you touch the energy of being a doctor, and I don't know if that's still what you want to do, but what I'm getting at is you would be an exceptional one, especially like an emergency room doctor or a cardiac surgeon or something where you definitely don't need to be a geriatric doctor going into nursing homes doing the same thing over and over and over again. You need to have a change of pace consistently. And if that's what you want to do, then that's fine. It doesn't mean that's exactly what you have to do. What I'm saying is that go into things that jobs or careers that'll challenge you. I think you'll make the transition. And school teaching is just the same thing, the same kids, the same. Some people are very passionate about that. You're not. So I would start looking at, those things within yourself. And I got a feeling you already got the answers there. I think there's some what I'm getting a feeling of is some hesitation because I'm already here. This is, even though I don't like it, it's a job, it's got a career, I've got a family, all that kind of stuff. What I'm being told from Spirit is all that stuff will work out. To take a step forward. Don't worry about all that stuff. I'm not saying go quit your job and go, do. I'm saying start working in that direction.
Absolutely.
I understand.
And what I was getting for you, Kimberly, also is that, and I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but I definitely feel your energy. You're very feisty. If you look for something, make sure that it's something that's going to keep you excited because you are the type of person that wants to keep it going and be excited and whatever. And if you do something for too long and you don't change it, I mean, it could be the same thing, but you just have to make a left turn once in a while to keep in that energy. Otherwise, you get bored. Am I right?
Right. Yes.
Yep. Definitely. Yes. That's what you need to look for. And you have the answers, like Jeremy said already.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you
Kimberly,
very much.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
And then our next caller that we're going to be taking in is Patty from New Mexico. Patty, welcome to the show.
Yay. Hi, guys. Hi.
Hi, how are you? Thank you.
I'm doing very good. I wanted to ask you about romance, because I met not one but two guys, and both are great, but two. I just need one.
Oh, wow.
So,
yeah. I can tell you already what I feel from your energy. I am feeling caliente, very, very hot. You're very passionate.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jeremy. Let me sit in the background. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Well, the first thing that made me laugh is I was like, that's not a bad problem to have, Patty. But I know what you're saying. You need just one. So what I'm getting at, there's one that's, they're both great guys. I get that. I feel that. They're nice men. One of them does not make your heart sing. I mean, you're excited about seeing him. You're happy about seeing him. He's stable. All that good stuff. He treats you with respect. But he doesn't make you just get excited, I guess is the way to say it. And in some sense, if you really got honest with yourself, you would, if you pictured yourself with him in 10, 15 years, you would honestly see yourself as being bored with him eventually. The excitement of seeing him and the kindness he has and the happiness he has, the care he gives you is great. He doesn't make you get up and dance inside. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So now the question I would ask you is to get real honest with yourself, because when you're thinking about love, when you're thinking about somebody you're going to settle down with and have a relationship with, you want to have somebody that you're going to have longevity with, and somebody that's going to inspire you, it's going to challenge you. The other one that gets you a little bit more excited also has the potential of getting you fired up inside, even annoying you just a little bit, but you still love him. So there's still a huge passion for you. Why? Because he challenges you. He gets you excited. It's not that kind of challenge or a frustration with him that would get you so angry. It's just a little bit of a, why did he do that? And then when he explains himself, you're like, oh, okay, I understand. Well, what he does is he challenges you to communicate. He challenges you to talk. He challenges you to speak from your heart. And you do the same thing for him. He's adventurous. He's the type that would want to get up and travel. He's also stable. He's also secure. He's mature. He's seen a little bit more than the other one has. He's taken risks that the other one necessarily hasn't taken. And that doesn't make either one of them bad men. It just means what is right for you. And so I don't know if that resonates with you, but I would go with the one that makes you just jump up and makes you feel like a 16-year-old girl a little bit, but also makes you feel safe and stable and a little bit adventurous. So.
Wow, you describe them perfectly. That's how they are. Oh my gosh.
Beautiful, yeah. Well, Mary Lou, thank you so much for calling in. I'm sorry, what am I saying? Patty, thank you so much for calling in.
Patty.
Patty, thank you.
Thank you, guys. It was great. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Wonderful.
Bye.
Jeremy, I need to bring the show to an end, but before I do, I wanted to ask you a couple of questions, if I may.
Absolutely.
The questions are, they're more about you, and I want the listeners to know more about you. The first one is, do you know your life's purpose?
Yes. The biggest thing is for me to find a very happy, joyful, exciting life. And through that, I help inspire other people to have that same thing. And so, if I can do that, then I'll feel completed at the end of my life. So.
Absolutely. What does intention mean to you?
Intention is everything to me, and it's how I shape my world. It's how I co-create with God. It's how I find happiness. If I'm thinking one thing, and feeling one thing but saying another, then my intentions are in what I call a cross purpose. It's basically like having one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake. So basically, some people, you can go out and lie to the world and say, I'm this, but on the inside you feel like that's not who you are, or that's not authentic. Then who are you really lying to? So your intentions and is the basis of your integrity. It's the basis of how you change your life. It's the basis of how you shape your life. It's the basis of how you co-create. So if you're authentic with your intentions, you'll have a really good life.
Absolutely. What are your core values in your life that drive your day-to-day decisions?
The biggest thing for me as far as my core value is intentions, like we said, but compassion, love, compassion and love. And I'll add on forgiveness on there, because if I can have compassion for myself, if I can love myself, I'm going to naturally love and have compassion for other people. If I can forgive myself, and then I'm going to naturally forgive other people. And there creates a flow and an essence of an ebb and flow of the universe. And if I can live in those three principles, those three tenets on a daily basis and practice them and grow with them, I'm going to have a pretty solid life. And I'm going to be giving other people permission to have those same principles in their life. And that means love. When I'm in love and compassion, I'm practicing non-judgment. I'm practicing the idea of learning more, growing more, taking the world as an opportunity, and growing with those opportunities. And so I get to spend my life in a classroom of an experiment of love and compassion and forgiveness. And so that, is how those are my basic principles.
Perfect. Next question. What is next for Jeremy McDonald?
Well, right now I'm focusing pretty heavily on my show and my online media presence, and I'm as a result of me focusing in on my creative side, because I'm very creative. I've been starting to get back into my graphic design work and that kind of stuff, and writing and all that kind of stuff. I've been invited to speak in New Jersey, so I'm speaking at a retreat in New Jersey, an angel retreat, and that's not something that just I asked for. It was a friend of mine. We started talking. We had a conversation. I was going out there, and as a result, I've had other leads that are leading into other places to speak. So when I talk about living passion, what happens is that when you do things that make you happy, instead of focusing it on the end result, then other things, the other stuff falls into place. So what's next for me is just to focus in on those things and grow my ministry and my reach as far as helping people. And so as I practice living in love and compassion and focusing on the things that make me happy, all the rest of it starts to fall into place.
Absolutely. I was going to say, why don't you mention to everyone your Ascension Healing Weekend?
Yeah, that's the weekend, and it's in Belmar, New Jersey. I'll be there August 15th and 16th. Actually, that's the retreat. Mm-hmm. If anybody's in that area or they would like to be a part of that, they can go to KarenAngel.com, or they can also call Karen at 727-424-3989 and get more information about it. It's on my website at jeremymcdonald.net as well. But I'm also going to be doing private sessions with people on the 14th of August at her spiritual center there in Belmar, and I'm also going to be doing them in Bensalem, Pennsylvania on the 17th of August at her center in Bensalem as well. So.
Wow, that's wonderful. Well, Jeremy, thank you so much for being on the show. We have really appreciated you, and we've learned so much.
Thank you so much.